Welcome to the Teen Life Podcast, where we believe that teenagers are not a problem to be solved. We are here to help you equip teenagers to the power of connection. Guys, welcome back during this holiday season. This is Chris Robey, and over across from me is Karlie Duke.
Hello, Chris.
It's a wonderful time of year.
It is. It's my favorite time of year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot going on. And if you haven't noticed here on the podcast, we are in full Christmas mode and here to talk about it because the holidays are such a unique time of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that we handle these as families and our relationship with teenagers is important and something we can put some thought into for sure. And so today we want to talk through Christmas activities, things we can do as a family, things you can do with your student that will have a lot of meaning.
Yeah. I love this time of year, and it's fascinating to me to hear how people do it differently and what people do. And next week we have a super fun episode coming out where we're actually going to bring in Tobin and Priscilla, two of our coworkers, to kind of talk about that a little bit of the differences of Christmas. So don't miss that. But today we want to talk about some Christmas activities, and maybe your family already does some of these, or maybe you'll get some new ideas for how to connect with your teens this holiday season, because honestly, it's crazy.
It really
You could
is.
be going a million different ways and not actually find time to connect with the teenagers in your life. So whether you're a parent or a teacher or just someone who loves teenagers, hopefully this gives you some fun ideas of things to do together.
Yeah, it kind of helps you get ahead of it a little bit because before we know it, our students will be out of school. And the older your teenager gets, the less they're going to be around the house. They're going to be more with their friends. They're going to be maybe they're working, any of those kinds of things. And so being able to plan out some intentional time to connect this time of year is really important. And so we have just a few ideas we feel like you can do with your teenager. One of them is, we talked about this a little bit last week, but just a follow up is to do a small gift exchange, like a white elephant, something like that, where you're able to exchange a gift, but nothing too big, just something small to have fun together as a family.
Right. You could set a budget of $5 or $10 and kind of be like, hey, let's do something small together. I kind of mentioned this last week too, but maybe even do like an IOU gift exchange where everyone exchanges some sort of coupon. Maybe it's I'll do dishes for a month, or I'll give you a back rub while we watch a movie, something like that, that doesn't actually cost money, but could be fun that everyone in your family can participate in, no matter what age they are. Or it might be a little late because I know this episode is coming out right before school gets out. But if you're a teacher, you could also do this of like, hey, everyone go to the dollar store and pick up something $3 or under, and we're going to do a fun gift exchange in class.
Great idea.
So that could be a fun way to connect with teenagers. Another is finding a way to give back to others. And I feel like we maybe briefly mentioned this in the last episode, but I kind of wanted to talk about it a little more because there are lots of ways to serve others this time of year.
Well, and two, we talked about this way back, but what cause do you support as a family, or does your teenager really, really care about? And Teen Life is a nonprofit, and so we really focus on the mental health supports that a teenager needs. Right, that's this big reason why we exist, and so people are drawn to us who really care about that issue. And most nonprofits have some kind of issue they're looking to serve. And so talk to your student about what do they really care about? What really drives them and motivates them? And likely there is some kind of a charity or nonprofit in your town that's trying to address that need and seeking to maybe volunteer with them, give some amount to them, raise that awareness for that issue that your teenager really, really cares about, because there likely is someone trying to address that issue actively in your community.
Yeah. There are also this time of year lots of ways to, like you said, volunteer your time. So whether that's writing letters or I don't know. Our church used to do, I think they might still do it, but like almost like Santa workshops where families could come and pick out presents for their kids.
Hmm.
And you could volunteer to help run that and help them pick out gifts and put together bikes or I don't know, just lots of different things. Volunteer at a homeless shelter, take clothes or socks to a homeless shelter, put together food packages, and drive around town. If you see someone on the side of the road, give them something. There are lots of things that you could do to involve your teenagers. And like you said, I think that's such a great idea, Chris, to ask them, what do you want to do?
Hmm.
Instead of you just planning it, but like, hey, what are you passionate about? What do you think would be fun in a way that we could serve as a family or as a class or as a youth group this Christmas year?
Absolutely. Something you can do together as a family, which I think is a really great idea, because you can do it pretty cheap too, is
Mm,
to bake family recipe together. Or if you don't really have like a family cookbook that's passed down, just Googling a really fun recipe, something you can
yeah.
make together or ruin together, honestly, because it doesn't always go the way that you want to. But
Uh-huh.
that experience of cracking the eggs and mixing and all those kinds of things together could be a really fun tradition if you haven't started one to do together.
Mhm. Speaking of traditions, I think it could be fun to start a new tradition.
Hmm.
If your family doesn't have a lot of traditions, or you realize these are traditions we've just always done, but I've never invited our family into it and what they want to do,
Hmm.
and say, like, hey, let's ask around. Let's research what are fun Christmas traditions and pick one and say, this is our new family tradition. And it could be something small like looking at Christmas lights or drinking hot chocolate while you watch a Christmas movie. It doesn't
Hmm.
have to be something big, but just saying, like, hey, we're going to sit down and maybe you have everyone submit a tradition and you draw or you take a anonymous vote, something like that to make it fun for your kids.
Well, I think too that's an opportunity, if you're starting a new tradition or even just engaging in one that you've always had, to encourage your student to invite a friend
Hmm.
and say, "Hey, we're trying this new thing. Come tell us what you think." Or what that looks like, just to be able to include someone, maybe especially someone who might not have uh, a family who has traditions or does
Mm.
things like that. And so I think, in a way, it's an act of giving, to include someone in something like that. So expanding your sense of what family is during that time can be really really powerful.
Another way maybe this could become a tradition is at some point this holiday season, have a family night where everyone picks a different piece.
Hmm.
So maybe one person picks the movie, one picks a snack, one picks a game that you play. It can be small things like that. But that way everyone feels like they have a say in some part of the night and some ownership in what they do and they can plan that out. And that could be a really fun way to be together while also getting the buy-in from your teen so they'll want to do it.
Hmm.
For the trend this week, Chris, I want to talk about some new movies coming out because this season is one of my favorites because I love movies. It's a
Hmm.
little harder now that I have little kids to get out and go see a
Hmm.
movie. So I haven't seen a lot lately, but there are a ton of new movies that come out this year, both in theaters, on streaming services. Obviously, channels like Hallmark and Lifetime have 1 million Christmas movies that don't cost anything for you to watch them from home. And so I'm going to post a link in the show notes for a full list of the must see Christmas movies for this year. I'm also going to post a link of the 77 best family Christmas movies of all time. So that's like if you like the,
77.
yeah,
Wow.
that's what I found.
My
There are a
goodness.
lot of Christmas movies. So if you like classics, or maybe you look at that list and pick one that your kids have never seen, that is one that you loved watching when you were a teenager. That could be a fun way to jog your memory and watch something from home. And most of these, I'm pretty sure these lists tell you where you can actually watch them too. And so that could be a good idea. But let's actually talk about some movies coming out to theaters because there are a few, Chris.
Yeah, some of these I feel like I've seen advertised for a very long time now and
Yes.
are just now coming out.
Yes. So, Avatar: The Way of Water, which is the Avatar sequel, I can't even remember how long ago the original one came out, but it's been a long
I
time.
think it's been 13 years. Oh
Yeah.
wow.
And so that comes out December 16th. So that comes out this week, and that's one that obviously people are talking a lot about. Maybe you watch the original Avatar first. I'm pretty sure the original's on Disney Plus
It is. Mm-hmm.
if you want to watch that.
Yeah,
And
and this
so
is the big one. This is the big one to see in 3D apparently.
mhm. And oh, that makes me so sick.
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't really. I probably won't be one of those ones, but yeah, apparently that's what they're saying.
Yeah. Now, if you are a Whitney Houston fan, I Want to Dance with Somebody is like the Whitney Houston movie that talks about her life. It really does look really fascinating if you're one of those that loves. I feel like there's a real trend making these movies, and I think these are the same people that did Bohemian Rhapsody.
Okay, very cool.
And that comes out December 21st. So that could be one if you love music, if you love singing. Obviously, there are going to be a lot of songs in that one. And so that could hit a different audience.
This next one I'm excited. I'm excited about because I love the original movie.
Mhm.
Uh, movie called Glass Onion. It's a Knives Out mystery. And so, if you ever saw the original Knives Out with Daniel Craig and this kind of this big ensemble cast a few years back, you were a person of my age who loved the original Clue movie. It's very in that
Uh-huh.
vein of movies of just kind of who done it, and they're all kind of locked into a house until they can figure out, the crime. Has Daniel Craig coming back as the original inspector, but a new cast,
Yeah.
and a new mystery. And so I'm actually really excited about this one when this comes out on Netflix, December
Yes.
23rd, right?
Yes. So this one did, when we're recording this, I think it's out in theaters right now, but it's out for a very short amount of time. So by the time you listen to this episode, you might not be able to even see it in theaters anymore, but it will be on Netflix December 23rd. So that's an easy one that you can watch from home as a
Mm-hmm.
family, not even have to go anywhere. Now, the last one I want to talk about is A Man Called Otto, which they're doing a limited theatrical release on December 25th, but then they're doing their full release in January. And this is based on the best-selling book by Frederick Backman. It's starring Tom Hanks. I didn't read this book, but I think I have to add it to my list because so many people have talked about how much they loved this book. And I've read some of his other stuff, but this could be a really interesting one to check out. And you could check it out on Christmas or wait until January when it comes out everywhere. Now, finally, Chris, for the tip, I kind of just want to talk about this season as a whole because, as we said, it is a busy one.
Mm-hmm.
And it's easy to get caught up in the activities and the stress and the financial implications of buying all these gifts and doing all the things. But I want everyone to kind of do something to remind yourself why we even do this time of year. Now, obviously, me and you come from a faith background.
Mm-hmm.
And so ours is rooted in celebrating the birth of Christ. And that might not be the reason everyone listening is celebrating, but have a moment where, as a family, you talk about, okay, why are we even doing this?
Mm-hmm.
Why are we doing everything? And is what the activities that we're doing, are those lining up with our reason as well? So, some things you could do is you could read an Advent book or do some sort of Advent calendar to count down. I have friends, I wish I did Advent better, but I have friends who light the candles and talk about the symbolic meanings behind each piece of Advent
Mm-hmm.
and read different pieces of the Bible or a study together as a family. And so that could be an option that you do at this time of year.
Maybe if you are in a faith community, go to a Christmas Eve service. Those are much more available now than they were whenever even I was younger. And so something you can do to go worship together or celebrate together as a family is really, really, really meaningful.
Yeah, and I feel like now so many churches around us have more options. There are online services if you're not ready to get out. They also have a lot of places do Christmas Eve services on the 23rd and the 24th. So if you have certain traditions that your family does on the 24th, you could find somewhere on the 23rd to
Mhm.
go and still do that as a family and then be able to travel or do all the Christmas things that you usually do.
I think just to make sure that whatever we do, we make sure it's not just about the gifts,
Mhm.
or the activities that, the things that you value as a family are amplified. That, we, it's just, it's we talk about being self-aware a lot, and, knowing what's important to you as an individual. Um, what's important to you in your relationships. And so that's what a lot of this is about, I believe, around the holiday season. No matter how
Mhm.
you celebrate it, what you believe is, how, as a family, what do we think things important? Make sure we encourage that, or within my peer relationships, any of those kinds of things. I think being able to show, we just got done with Thanksgiving, but this whole season is about gratitude,
Yeah.
and finding ways that we can instill that value into a teenager, that, we're grateful for our faith community, we're grateful
Mhm.
for our family, we're grateful for our relationships and how we express those things. Just make sure that as you head into this holiday season, especially with some time out of school, that you amplify that. Also, with this podcast too, we're looking forward to wrapping up our fall, I guess, with a special episode next week where Karlie and I will be joined by Tobin and Priscilla to kind of share some. It'll be a lighter episode of
Mhm.
just sharing stories and about different traditions, things that we thought was fun as a teenager. And so be sure that you tune into that next week. But
And
yeah.
yeah, I was just gonna go ahead and preview after that. I think we're gonna do like 3 episodes where we're gonna take pieces of old episodes that are still really relevant, that are some of our favorites that we said, "Hey, this was really good stuff." And if you missed it, like if you joined the Teen Life podcast late, you might not have heard this. And so we're gonna do that and also kind of intro maybe if anything changed, but be looking for those episodes too going into the new year. So we're not taking a break. It'll be a little different for a few weeks, but then we'll come back in January.
So with that, that's a wrap on this podcast. If you like this podcast, please be sure to subscribe so this shows up in your feed every single week. Follow us on social media. We are on all the big social channels, and so you can find us just by searching Teen Life, and you'll find us wherever you consume that material. Rate us on your favorite podcast app. Share with a friend, and make sure that the people around you know about this great content. And if we don't see you before then, we hope you have a wonderful holiday, and we will see you next time.